Okay, so in this video we're going to start talking about this thing called the determinant of a matrix. So we have a variable matrix. So if we look at what we have here, I'm calling it a variable matrix because there are variables inside of it. We're saying let A equal this 2 by 2 variable matrix, and the determinant of A, which is denoted or abbreviated like this, is equal to this. So if I wanted to find the determinant of a matrix, I would take A times D and subtract B times C. And this is something that allows me to get an inverse easily, okay, by hand. Okay, so here's what I'd like to do is I'm going to make a basic example here, and we don't know this yet, or we're not going to see why yet, because we need to talk about how to find an inverse. But if the determinant is equal to 0, there is no inverse. So this says the matrix has an inverse if and only if the determinant of A is not equal to 0. So any other number works. Positive, negative, doesn't matter as long as it's not 0. So I'm going to create just some fake numbers here. So if I wanted, and A is equal to this, so the determinant of matrix A is equal to 2 times 3 minus 4 times 3. So that means 6 minus 12. So the determinant of matrix A is equal to negative 6. It's as simple as that. And that's how we find the determinant. Okay? So, next we're going to go ahead and you'll see down here how we can use the determinant to find an inverse. Okay, so there's a little equation there, but first and foremost, we're going to start with finding the determinant of this matrix. Okay, so then that means determinant of A is, I'm just going to take A and D, so this diagonal, multiply them together. And then I'm going to subtract the opposite diagonal multiplied together. And that's going to equal 4 minus 3, which is equal to 1, which is nice. Okay? And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to apply this to find the inverse. So the formula to find an inverse is we take 1 over the determinant and multiply it by this matrix, this variable matrix. And notice what happens here is these spots from the original one are A, B, C, and D. So if we notice here, A and D switched and B and C became opposites. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put in my determinant, which is equal to 1, and we'll do a lot more examples here. So I take 1 over 1. So this one's nice because it's just multiplying by 1. And I'm going to multiply it with, okay, so A was equal to 2, 3, 1, 2. So I'm going to switch, okay, well they're the same number, so that doesn't matter. And then I'm just going to go ahead and, excuse me, I'm going to go ahead and then apply the negatives. So I got a negative 1 here and a negative 3 here. So that means the inverse of this is just the scalar multiplication. So really all it is the switching of the variables. So A inverse is equal to 2, negative 3, negative 1, 2. And that's how we can find the inverse of a matrix by using the determinant. And I can do a check here because we know that if I take A times A inverse, I should get my identity matrix, right? So let's go ahead and do that real quick. I know A is 2, 2, 3. So here's our check. So 2, 3, 1, 2. That's our identity matrix. Multiply it by our inverse, which is 2, negative 3, negative 1, 2. And so I know that my resulting matrix is going to be a 2 by 2. So let's go ahead and get the 2 by 2 in here. And I have row 1, column 1, which is right here. So I'm going to take row 1, column 1, put those guys together. So I have 2 times 2, which is 4, and then 3 times negative 1, and add those guys together. So that gives me my 1, so that's good. And then now I'm going to go to this one, which is row 2, column 1. So row 2 is 1 and 2 and negative 1. 1 times 2 plus 2 times negative 1. That's going to be 0. If you need to write this out, you can. We've gone through the multiplication numerous times. So then this spot is row 1, column 2. So I take row 1, column 2. This should be at 0. 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. 3 times 2 is a positive 6. That ends up being 0. And then in our very last row, we're going to go ahead and take row 2, column 2, so 1 times negative 3 plus a 4, and that gives me my 1. So boom, I was able to get the identity matrix. You don't have to go through that check. If you had a calculator with you, it would be easier. And so some of our videos, we're going to go ahead and go through how to find the inverse on a calculator and stuff like that. So, and we've already gone through the multiplication.